Have you ever wondered why certain things happen in your life? Sometimes we think that what we experience is meaningless, mere coincidences, or even injustices. But in this Zen story, you will discover that every moment, every encounter, and every loss is part of an invisible web guiding us to where we are meant to be. Stay until the end, because this teaching could change the way you see the world and help you find inner peace, serenity, and purpose in every experience. In a small temple surrounded by mountains lived a monk named Renji. His life was simple. He swept the courtyard, tended the garden, and meditated each morning as the mist covered the valley. One day, a young traveler arrived, exhausted and full of doubts. He had walked for days in search of answers. "Master," he said, bowing his head, "everything that happens to me seems meaningless. I lose valuable things, people drift away for no reason. Why is life so confusing?" Renji looked at him in silence and smiled calmly. He offered him tea, and as he poured each drop, he spoke softly. "Nothing that happens is without purpose. Even when you cannot see it, there is an order weaving every moment together." The young traveler frowned, still not understanding. "And how can I see that order?" Renji pointed to the temple garden, where leaves fell silently onto the damp earth. Each leaf falls in its exact place, and the same happens with your life. Everything has meaning, even now when you cannot see it. The traveler remained silent, feeling that those words awakened something deep within him. Like a distant echo he had not yet learned to decipher. The young traveler decided to stay at the temple for a few days. Renji didn't offer quick answers or direct advice. He simply gave him simple tasks: fetching water from the river, chopping wood for the fire, gathering leaves from the courtyard. At first, the young man felt frustrated. "I've walked so far in search of wisdom, and this monk only makes me work," he thought. Yet, little by little, he noticed something strange. As he performed each task calmly, without haste, his mind stopped racing after questions. One morning, while sweeping the ground covered in fallen petals, he heard Renji say, "When you sweep the courtyard, you sweep your heart. When you gather each leaf, you gather each fragment of your life. Can you see that even the smallest things have meaning?" The young traveler looked up and, for the first time, stopped to observe. The way the broom left a clean path among the petals, the shimmer of water as it filled the bucket, the crack of the wood splitting under the axe. What he had once seen as insignificant began to feel important. He realized he was not there to learn theories, but to experience wisdom in every gesture. Watching him meditate in silence, Renji said with a gentle smile, "Life is like this garden. Nothing is out of place, not even the fallen leaves. What seems like chaos today will tomorrow reveal the perfect design that supports your path." The young traveler felt something loosen in his chest. Perhaps he thought he didn't need to fight so hard against what happens, but instead learn to trust. That night, the sky was clear, and the temple seemed to float under the moonlight. Renji and the young traveler sat by the fire in silence. The monk broke the quiet with a soft voice. "Tell me, what hurts most about your past?" The traveler clenched his fists. "I lost my family in an accident when I was a child. Since then, everyone I've cared about has left. I feel like life takes everything from me for no reason." Renji watched the lamp's flame flicker. "When the wind blows," he said, "it does not blow to destroy the lamp, but to test the steadiness of its light." The young man lowered his gaze. "So all this pain has a purpose?" Renji nodded. "Rain does not ask why it falls, yet it nourishes the earth. Your pain has led you to seek, and your seeking brought you here. Do not reject it. Ask yourself what it wants to show you." The traveler fell silent, as if those words had opened a door he didn't know existed. He felt a mix of relief and fear. Relief in realizing that not everything was meaningless, fear in discovering he may have ignored the lesson for years. Renji added more wood to the fire. When you learn to look at your past without hatred, you will see that each wound pointed the way, like lanterns in the night. The young man said nothing, but as sparks rose into the sky, he felt, for the first time, that his story was not a punishment, but a hidden map. The next morning, Renji asked the young traveler to accompany him to the nearby forest. The path was covered with fallen branches and mud from the previous night's rain. "Today we'll look for dry wood," Renji said. The young man was puzzled. Dry wood after a storm? He walked among the wet trees, frustrated at finding nothing useful. Meanwhile, Renji moved calmly, picking up small branches hidden under logs, protected from the rain. "Do you see this?" Renji said, showing him a perfectly dry branch. "Even after the strongest storm, there is always something that remains untouched." The young man looked at him, not fully understanding. "What does this have to do with my life?" Renji smiled. "When everything seems lost, there is always something pure that remains within you. Seek it. It is your dry wood, your strength." Back at the temple, they lit a fire with the branches they had collected. The warmth filled the room, and the young man felt a different kind of heat. Deep, as if those words had sparked something inside him. Renji added, "Life is not a series of meaningless accidents. It is a river carrying you, even when you do not know where it leads. But if you learn to look closely, you'll discover that every stone on the path was placed to teach you how to walk better." The traveler closed his eyes, letting the fire's warmth mingle with his memories. He began to wonder if every loss he had suffered had been guiding him exactly to the place he was meant to be. Several days passed at the temple. The young traveler no longer asked so many questions and began performing his tasks with mindful attention. Every action, sweeping, carrying water, lighting the fire, had become an exercise in stillness. One morning, while chopping wood, he heard voices at the temple entrance. A woman and her child were asking for help. The boy had twisted his ankle while coming down the mountain. Renji went to assist them, but it was the young traveler who reacted first. Without hesitation, he grabbed clean bandages, prepared warm water, and carefully helped the child sit. Moving with calm and assurance, he tended to the injury as if he had done it all his life. The woman, relieved, thanked him with tears in her eyes. "I don't know what we would have done without you." The young man felt a shiver run through him. In that moment, he understood something. His past pain had given him a special sensitivity to care for others. He knew what it was like to be lost, and now he could help those who suffered. Renji watched from the doorway, smiling quietly. "Do you see now?" he asked once they were alone. "Every wound you carry has prepared you to serve, to offer comfort. Nothing in your story was in vain." The young traveler remained silent, his heart pounding. He had come to the temple seeking answers for himself, and he was finding them by helping others. In the days that followed, something changed deeply in the young traveler. He no longer walked with his head down, nor did he question why life had struck him so many times. Instead of fleeing from his past, he began to listen to it. One afternoon, while helping Renji repair the temple roof, the monk asked him, "Do you still believe your story has no meaning?" The young man shook his head. "I'm beginning to see that every loss taught me something. If I hadn't suffered, I would never have come here. If I hadn't come here, I would never have discovered that I can serve others." Renji smiled. "Life has been training you without you knowing it. Every pain has polished you, like a river polishes a stone. Do you know why?" The young man remained silent. Renji continued, so that your heart is soft enough to understand the suffering of others and strong enough to support them. That night, the young man could not sleep. He gazed at the stars over the valley, feeling that his life was no longer a series of accidents, but a path with direction. For the first time, he felt neither anger nor sadness when recalling his past. He felt gratitude. At dawn, the young traveler rose before Renji and sat in the courtyard, watching the sun slowly rise between the mountains. There were no questions in his mind, only a deep sense of calm. When Renji came out, he found him smiling. "I see the storm in your heart is beginning to clear," the monk said. The young man nodded. "Master, I think I understand now. I didn't come here by chance. My pain brought me, and now I see it has a purpose. I want to dedicate my life to helping those who, like me, feel lost." Renji looked at him with satisfaction. When you discover your purpose, you stop asking life, "Why me?" and start saying, "Thank you for guiding me." That day, the young traveler decided to stay at the temple a little longer. He wanted to learn how to cultivate inner peace, not just for himself, but to share it with others. He helped travelers, comforted those seeking guidance, and listened with patience, just as Renji had listened to him. Gradually, the emptiness that had accompanied him for years began to fade. In its place grew a quiet certainty. Everything he had experienced, even the most painful moments, had a purpose. Seasons passed, and the young traveler was no longer the same. His eyes held the serenity of someone who has understood that nothing happens in vain. One morning, before the sun had risen, he sat with Renji in front of the temple garden. As the master poured tea, he said, "The time has come for you to continue your journey. The world needs what you have discovered here." The young man bowed his head in gratitude. "And what if I get lost again?" he asked. Renji smiled calmly. "You will not get lost. Even when you cannot see the path, life will continue to guide your steps. Remember, every leaf falls in its exact place, and every moment of your life has a hidden meaning." With those words, the young traveler left the temple. He walked along the same path he had arrived by, but now his steps were firm and light. He carried with him a certainty. Life does not take things randomly. It is showing him who he is meant to be. As he walked away, the sound of the wind through the trees seemed to whisper the teaching Renji had given him. Trust. Everything has a meaning, even when you do not yet understand it. And so, with a peaceful heart, the young traveler began his own path, ready to share that wisdom with every person he met.